But I agree. Yeah, the first episode, you could tell they were doing fan service. They were hitting all these familiar beats. You know, the banners, the tournament. Got some
Baratheon is
Baratheon.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Names.
Where are the bobs and the mics at?
Welcome to A Cast with No Name. We are your hosts. I'm Jay.
And I'm Matt.
This is episode 19, Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. This episode, we will be discussing episodes 1 through 3 of House of the Dragon. Plus, don't forget to visit our website, acastwithnoname.com, where you can comment on episodes and write to our email, which is contact.acastwithnoname@gmail.com. So, yeah.
Jay.
Matt.
How you doing, man?
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
They have a lot of medieval stuff coming out recently.
Yep.
And quite a few things.
Big medieval stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of crazy IP out there. People want to make some money.
They do. They want to milk that teat.
Oh yeah.
Milk it dry.
Yeah.
Just firmly grasping and pulling and filling up that mug.
Maybe some black stuff might come out.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, starting off here, were you, I'm sure you were, I'm sure we all were, a fan of Game of Thrones, the TV show? You read the books, any of that good stuff?
I did not read the books. I will read the books when they are all written.
That's right, they're not all written yet.
That's right.
That bastard.
Yeah, so I don't want to... my biggest fear is I'll read the books, I'll get really into the books, and then...
Nothing happens.
Yeah. To where he doesn't finish them either by choice or, God forbid, he dies and someone else has to finish out his outline,
right.
Which wouldn't be the same anyways.
And it's no coincidence that I think the show's impact writing kind of fell off after Jon Snow was murdered by the Night's Watch, because that's where the books
ended.
Right there.
Yeah, you could definitely see a quality in storytelling from about into season 5 and on.
Yeah.
To where I don't know if it just wasn't the detail, but I mean it's different when you have a whole 1,000-page manuscript you can form a season from. You can start whittling away to the fat that you don't think needs to be there, as opposed to trying to fill it out, fill out an outline. Just two totally different ways to go about something.
Which we won't get into with this episode, because there's another show that we're going to talk about.
I binge watched Game of Thrones.
What?
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, shit. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Damn it.
All right. I watched the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready.
Okay, good.
Good.
You're good.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, filling out that story, our next episode we're going to be talking about, the Rings of Power, how that's just based off appendices, all that stuff. It's just difficult to fill that gap, like you said, and not whittle away the fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I thought Game of Thrones is quite possibly the best TV show ever made, just from an engrossing factor, how invested you were with the characters, and how I just couldn't believe how they could intertwine so many different storylines and make it cohesive. And how you, when you were watching an episode, you would think, God, I haven't seen Daenerys in a while, and then they would cut to a scene with Daenerys, like, okay, like they had like a rhythm to it, like, okay, it's been a couple episodes, or maybe it's been like 30 minutes since we've last seen this character. I know the audience is thinking about it. Let's fill it in here.
Yeah. And I wasn't a fan from the beginning. I think we started watching Game of Thrones based on your recommendation. I think when season 3 was airing.
Yeah.
Or maybe season 3 just wrapped up. I feel like season 3 just wrapped up, and Christy had gotten me the season 1 Blu-ray for my birthday or whatever. She's like, well, yeah, a lot of people saying it's good, so figure we watch it, and if it's good, then we'll get more. If not, then
Yeah, whatever. It's just one season.
Yeah, one season bought. So, but that's when we started watching it, after it's already been on for I think 3 years. And just because I'm not particularly a fan of medieval stories, That's probably why it took me a while to warm up to Lord of the Rings. I enjoyed watching them in theaters, but it wasn't something. It wasn't like my Star Wars or anything like that. Don't know why I'm not a fan of medieval stories. I still am not a fan of. I'm still not a man. I'm still not a fan of.
That goes without saying.
Not to state the obvious, but I'm still not a fan, and I haven't done enough internal soul searching to figure out why. But it just never really appealed to me.
Well, is it kind of like you're not into horror movies all that much? It's just
maybe. I mean, it's just one of those things. Which King Arthur, I think that's the only thing like that kind of mythology I enjoy. But yeah, overall, just medieval stories. I don't know if it's just the dirtiness or whatever. I would prefer. I guess if I had to pick a period piece, I would probably pick westerns.
Right.
Like in the 17th century style, like stories and stuff.
So what changed your mind when it came to like Game of Thrones, where you could like push that aside and move past it?
It was the politics.
Yeah, the politics. Okay.
In the show, and the scheming and the characters.
Right.
To where you had characters you immediately attached to and wanted to follow, and I think just the situation as a whole, it was gripping to where I could, as you said, look past the medieval stuff, and it was mainly on the characters and the politics.
Because if you watch the seasons, I've seen seasons 1 through the entirety of it twice now.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of action, honestly. Like in the episodes, there's like episodes tailored to like action set pieces, but majority of the seasons are just people sitting around talking.
Mm-hmm. It's like West Wing, but in medieval times.
Or I think of Deadwood.
Yeah. Okay.
Where it's just
that's another one.
That show it's centered around the characters and the dialogue. I mean, that's all. There's not really a lot of action in Deadwood. It's mainly just talking for the most part, which is why I like it. I mean, if the characters are good and it's written well, then I'll be into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So. Cool.
Yeah.
Did you start watching it from the beginning?
No, let's see. I went to OCS in the Navy, and when I got back for the summer, Game of Thrones is already out. And one of my buddies, Joe, said, "Have you seen Game of Thrones?" I'm like, "No, I've been isolated for 3 months. I have no idea of popular culture right now.
I've been in something long, hard, and full of semen
That's
for 3
right.
months. I mean,
there you go. Right back to the gay jokes.
Just saying, it's not false.
Yeah, no. But I said, "What's it about?" And he said, "Oh, it's about like scheming and dragons and like zombies." I thought, no, I'm probably not going to be into it. It sounds stupid. Mm-hmm. But I was just bored and put it on there, and then I just instantly got hooked. Yeah. After the first episode, when Jamie pushes young Bran off the tower after he's banging his sister, I thought, wow, this show is
as people do.
Right. Right, because that's not what I was expecting. When he said it's about dragons and zombies, I was thinking that in the first episode, I mean, there's the White Walk at the very beginning, but then other than that, it's just the Lannisters come to the Starks and Winterfell, and they're just talking the whole time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, did you enjoy the last season?
No. I was disappointed in it for sure. I wasn't as disappointed as the fans were. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a lot of negative drop, which I understand. It didn't make sense a lot, the ending of it, but I wasn't entirely like... It made sense that Jon went off to the north, beyond the wall. Mm-hmm. That made sense to me. Sansa ruling the north, that made sense to me. That made sense. Arya going off on her own path, exploring, that made sense. But, Daenerys kind of just having a freak out and going against her entire character that was built up for 7 seasons to do what she did, that didn't make a lot of sense. That was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I remember that was a standout. Not so much that Bran is king. I feel like I think it would make sense for him to be in some kind of leadership role, if not the king, maybe the hand of the king.
Yeah.
Like at least an advisor, but him being king, I mean, wasn't completely out of the realm of possibilities, especially since he's more or less all-knowing.
Right.
And
wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And young, so he'd be able to do it for
a long
40
period of time.
years and kind of build Westeros back up and the Seven Kingdoms. But yeah, the Daenerys, what they did with her character, it felt out of the blue. And I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure it's probably a plot point to where that's what, and I haven't read the books. So I don't know if they've hinted at that at all in the books, or if they would have been hinted at in the next, how many books are there? 7?
5.
Oh,
there's going to be 7.
There's going to be 7. 5 are written.
Right.
To where I didn't know if they were going to be hinting towards that in the 6th and 7th book, to where it would have made it a lot more believable, to where her mind just starts to continuously go.
Right. And I think they wanted to get done so quickly. I mean, the show was just so great at taking its time and building up. And it seemed like the last season in particular, like you had Arya and the Hound going to King's Landing, and it seemed like they were there instantly, when normally that would take like a whole season of them traveling down there. You'd have, their relationship with why their motives for going down there, what they're going to do. It just seemed like, let's just rush it. And then the Hound versus the Mountain fight was rushed. Cersei and Jaime, the way they went out was kind of like anticlimactic. It just felt rushed.
Yeah, winter was coming for like 7 years. And
right.
Then,
yeah. I mean, and Bran taking over, because the North was going to rebel if they weren't recognized as an independent state. And if you have Sansa leading, reigning over the North, and her brother is reigning in the South, then peace would prevail. They wouldn't be at odds with each other. And I think it makes sense, too, because there's not a Targaryen, there's not a Lannister, there's not a Baratheon on the throne. It's a Stark. And like you said, he's young. He has no beef with anybody at this point, so let's have peace because we just got through all this craziness. But still.
But yeah, I'm with you. I thought the last season was a little bit of a letdown.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, because I compare every season finale and every last season to, well, at least every season finale to 6 Feet Under. Which has
the best finale of all time.
Yeah, the best finale of all time. So, but I don't think it completely shit the bed. It didn't ruin the series for me. I'll rewatch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like How I Met Your Mother. That almost made me not want to watch the show again. And I haven't watched it since we saw the last season, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. But
it's funny you say that, because I've never seen the finale of that show, but I've heard it's so terrible that I watched the first 3 seasons, and I was starting to I'm like, I really like this show. But I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, shit, is it going to make me hate the show? If I finish this all the way out and I get to the finale, is it going to make me hate the rest of the show? So I just stopped watching.
Yeah. And it wasn't really anger. It was just kind of more of like being dumbfounded, as far as that's just a weird way to do it. Like it needed a couple more passes, because I really, really enjoyed that show. And the earlier seasons I think are pretty funny. But it's just knowing how it ends ruins everything else for me. Yeah. And, but Game of Thrones season 8 did not do that to me. So it's very rarely has there been an ending to a show where I'm like, oh God, never watching that crap again. And I wasn't up in arms at that, but I thought I was like, this is just underwhelming.
Underwhelming is a perfect way to say it. Yeah. Because I watched it again after the season ended, and I knew how it would end. Maybe I was watching it again, like, did I miss something that I'm just not seeing here? Why it's so underwhelming? And it didn't ruin the experience watching it over again. I mean, the characters are just awesome. They're written well. It's acted phenomenally. The action set pieces are great. You like the characters still. And even at the end, I mean, I didn't find anything rewatching it that filled in any gaps. It was still underwhelming.
Yeah. And I think it was, one, it's tough to complete a story like that to where everyone is just having one of those behemoth of a shows to where everyone's watching you. I mean, I think it's a no-win scenario, because everyone's forming their own opinions as far as what should happen and how it should go, and you're not going to please everybody. And I think no matter what ending they possibly could have gone with,
people are still going to bitch
they were still going to be bitching about it, because it wouldn't have fit whatever they had built up in their head. But I think that whole season was rushed. What was it? The Long Night.
The Long Night, yeah.
That episode, Puff, who's been on here, he's not an apologist, but when that episode aired, he said, well, HBO right now doesn't have 4K streaming, because at the time they didn't. And he's like, they shoot it in that, and I'm waiting to see. I bet it looks phenomenal.
In
like
4K?
on a 4K TV and a 4K, all this stuff. And then Christy rewatched it, I think, a while back, and she's like, I had to turn off all the lights in my house because all I saw was me sitting on the couch looking at the TV in that episode. And I was like, yeah, because it was lit shitly. Like either they didn't have enough money for proper visual effects and they had to tone down the brightness, or well, maybe we'll just get by with this as some artsy fartsy shit, and it just didn't work. And I always just boiled down to, it's like, no, they didn't do their fucking job in that episode. And but Puff would always be like, well, maybe it would look as, it doesn't matter if it looks good. You need to keep in mind when you're making something, no matter what it is, you need to put yourself in the user's perspective. So whether you're making software or a movie or a TV show, or you're painting a picture, or you're doing an advertisement, you need to take into account your audience. And everybody, 99% of people would be watching this at home in their house. And if they don't have a DLP 4K projector and proper lighting and sound, and if they don't have that and it looks like shit, then the product is shit. So, but anyways, fast forward, HBO now has 4K streaming.
Well, there you go.
He rewatched the episode.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's still pretty dark. And I was like, yeah, no shit, because they didn't do their damn job. I was they needed to, which I don't, if that was an artistic.
I was just going to say, do you think it was artistic? Like, hey, it's a long night, man. It's dark.
I think they wanted
what
it
do
to
you
be
know?
dark.
You don't know shit.
I don't. I think they wanted it to be kind of have a mood to where, I really don't know it's going to put the viewer in the shoes to where no one really knows what's going on. No, you can't do that in that kind of medium as far as TV shows or movies. I think that's a cop-out. I don't think it's as bad as what some of the Walking Dead episodes did, which was they would turn some episodes black and white. And
really?
Yeah. And
I got out of that show after after the Negan thing.
Yeah. And you could tell that it was shot in color, and then they just put in the black and white filter. And then you remember that Talking Dead show?
Oh, yeah, with what's his face from Singled Out?
Yeah. And he'd be like, the black and white, the artistic, it would just be a circle jerk. Like, yeah, we really wanted to show the contrast of black. I was like, no, you fucked up on the color somewhere. Something, whatever it was, obviously you didn't plan it because you light differently if you're shooting in black and white. It was lit the same way. It was a piss poor black and white image to where the contrast, it was just a flat, black and white should be beautiful if shot correctly, and that was just color. Digital.
Wait, it wasn't Schindler's List?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But
it's shot beautifully in black and white.
But it's just flat, and
Right.
That I feel like is a mistake they're trying to cover up for whatever reason, or maybe they're like, we're going to make it artistic and edgy. Like, no, you just did it in a very crappy way. And I think maybe that's
what was going on there.
What's going on there is that they may have had intent, but it just wasn't executed very well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that episode though does have one of the best payoffs. It's probably my favorite payoff in the whole show, which is another reason why it's such a great show. Just the story arcs, you're just so invested in the characters. And my favorite payoff was Theon's arc, where he shit on pretty much for the first 4 seasons. His dad doesn't like him. He feels like he's an orphan. He's just trying to prove himself. He does some horrendous shit along the way. He gets tortured for like 2 seasons. He becomes, just a shell of his former self at some point. He's just a slave and just trying to get just some, like, I'm a human being. He just wants, like, someone recognize me for being a human being. And then he helps Sansa along the way. And then at the end where Bran is about to be killed by the Night King, and then he looks at Theon and he says, "You're a good man." And then, like, just his acting, his facial expression, it's perfect. It's like, that's all he wanted to hear. That's all he ever wanted to hear. And then he goes and he sacrifices himself. It's like, that right there is great writing, great payoff. I enjoy. That's probably my favorite part of the entire episode. It's not all the fighting and shit. It was that moment there.
Well, I don't want to ruin it for you, but do you think Bran said that because he knew that would be the only way you could survive?
He knows all things, doesn't he?
He's doing like a Doctor Strange thing, finding all the possibilities, and he's like, so I just have to say that to him and I survive?
Right. But I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care.
I was just shitting on it.
I know. he is all knowing. He could have been an asshole like that. This guy sucks so much. I'm just telling him he's a good man. He's gonna do whatever I want.
That'll fire him up.
Yeah, man. But that moment's great.
Mm-hmm. But so I mean, overall, good show.
Yeah, great show.
And so this is the prequel.
That's right.
This takes place
172 years.
172 years before
Right.
Daenerys.
That's right. Why do you think they highlighted that?
Because that's probably what people would remember, like the casual fans of the Mad King. They'd probably be sitting. Oh, who's the Mad King? Oh, Daenerys. Yeah, I know Daenerys. Okay, 172 years before her. It's the most commonality thing.
You think it was just that simple?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like foreshadowing. You know what happened to her. What makes you think anything less is going to happen to this family before?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True. And the main character's a woman too.
It looks just like her.
Just like her. They all look like her.
Her name's Rhaenyra.
I'm not. What's her name? Rhaenyra.
Daenerys Bobaris.
Nana Ferris. Can't say Ferris. Me, my
Daenerys. Yeah. Yeah. So 117 years before, it's based off a book, Fire and Blood, that stalled the next book in A Song of Ice and Fire.
So he wrote that book
after when what's it called? Dance of Dragons, I think it's called. Yeah, Dance of Dragons.
Okay.
The next one's supposed to be Winds of Winter.
So he wrote a prequel before
the Winds of Winter.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just delaying it.
Or do you think he had to write that book to give backstory to what's going to be happening?
I don't
later?
know. I don't know.
Well,
we already know what happens.
But
is he gonna just rewrite history? We're just gonna redo seasons 6, 7, and 8.
Well, no, but maybe there's a callback to where what's the book he wrote for the House of
Fire and Blood.
Fire and Blood. But I wonder if he put something in Fire and Blood that is going to be referenced in books 6 and 7.
Oh, maybe. So I don't know. I think he's just delaying it.
Or HBO just pays a shit ton of money.
Right. That's probably what. That's probably what it is. Yeah. He's gonna write another book for the Jon Snow spinoff. That was announced. They're doing a Jon Snow continuation of his time beyond the Wall.
He's making snowmen and shit up in the north. What else is he gonna be doing?
I don't know.
Living in a cabin.
I guarantee you it's gonna be a hit.
There's wilderlings up north, and he's got to go to the pole.
Wilder wildlings.
Yeah, wilder wildlings.
Wet and wild wildlings.
Yep. It's a game show.
That's right.
They're really taking it different places.
Yeah.
So, House of Dragon, first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
The third episode aired a couple of nights ago. And
what are your first impressions?
I feel like they hit the ground running.
Yeah.
This. The tone was there.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a Game of Thrones show immediately. And I like how they kind of concentrated on a small core of characters first. And they're kind of introducing more and more people, but I think everything kind of mainly focused on the king's family and then his council, and then slowly kind of spreading from there. But the music is good. The acting I think is really, really good.
Oh yeah.
And especially Patty Considine.
Yeah.
I think he's phenomenal as
Viserys.
Viserys.
Yes. Viserys the First.
Because the only thing I knew him from was the Cornetto trilogy.
I know.
One of the Andes in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Rhys Fiennes.
Rhys Fiennes? I don't even know how you pronounce it.
I don't know. I know he played Captain Hook at one point.
He was in The Replacements. He played the drunk kicker.
Yeah. He was wiry.
He's wiry. He was in Notting Hill.
Yeah. And Matt Smith, who's Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think he was Doctor Who at one point.
But
he was in that new movie, The Last Night in Soho, the new Edgar Wright movie.
Was he?
Yeah.
And then Graham McTavish, who he played one of the dwarves in The Hobbit.
Oh yeah, he plays the knight.
Yeah.
The knight that protects Rhaenyra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wait. Yes.
I believe so.
One of them, yeah.
He's one of them.
He's the older one. He's
Yes.
the older buff dude with a beard.
Right. Yeah.
Just about everybody in there. But but overall, I'm enjoying it. I think they're setting it up well. And I don't mind the time jumps between the episodes. I think between episode 1 and 2 is like 6 months, and then 2 and 3 was 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Which I think obviously is a purpose for it. They probably need to get to the meat of the story, but you need the background first of what's actually going on and how those characters are dealing with that.
Yeah, because they have, I think Emma Darcy is playing the older version of Rhaenyra, and then Olivia Cook, the girl from Ready Player One, the lead girl in Ready Player One.
Yes.
She plays the older version of Alicent Hightower.
Okay.
So they're obviously going to be majority characters moving this. I think the next episode they're going to time jump again, and they're going to introduce them as the older ladies. But I agree. Yeah, the first episode, it was you could tell they were doing fan service. They were hitting all these familiar beats. The banners, the tournament. Got some
Baratheon is
Baratheon.
Jesus Christ, these fucking names.
But Tabernacle. My name's Stu from House Tabernacle.
In episode 3, there's a guy named Jason Lannister. I was like, that's easy to pronounce.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go with that.
Where are the Bobs and the Mikes at?
Got 15 people. All the names begin with R.
Yeah.
But you had some callbacks to the different houses, and you had a Stark in there.
You had a Rickon Stark there. Yeah. I mean, you had the when Daemon goes on his Night's Watch, Bender chopping off balls and hands. It's like, all right. And then the tournament, obviously, there's the brutal, showed a guy laying down, just an axe into his head. It's like, Jesus. All right. Well, they're not squinching on the gore here. Mm-hmm. Had a bunch of orgy scenes, fan service.
Titties everywhere.
Everything you loved about
getting chopped off.
That's right. It's still here.
We still got this,
we
guys.
still got this, man. It's like riding a bike.
It's been a couple years since you've seen this. Here's a penis getting chopped off. There you go.
It's like if you go to see your favorite band, they play their good hits 1st, and then they go into their new album. They play a couple songs. Like, get the fuck out of here with that. Give me, come on. Where's Don't Stop Believing? I don't want to hear this new shit. Yeah. But yeah, I liked it. I liked. What's tough about this show, and then the new Rings of Power. It's you have such a huge fan base over a previous work that everyone just loves and is a fan of, and you have your bar is so high that just try not to just stumble out of the gates and just do something solid, and people will watch it. Yeah. I think House of the Dragon is doing a very good job of that right now, because it's hard to compete with Game of Thrones when you have the White Walkers always looming. That's always in the background. And then you have Daenerys on the other side of the world, her whole journey, in a separate part of the world, getting to know those characters. And then you have all of Westeros and all that shit. I mean, you're just centered on one family right now. I like that. Just get that right, and then start introducing some characters, because it's going to be so hard to capture all of that again. To have
you need to get some characters in there that people want to follow immediately. And to be able to root for immediately. Yeah. You don't want to spread everything too thin, because then it just wouldn't. Yeah. Nothing would really stick.
Yeah, and I love the the dialogue's great. I love the simple line. They've known peace for many years. The only way that the House of Dragon could fall is if it destroys itself. That's pretty much the theme of. I'm sure it's the theme of the whole show. But yeah, what did you think of? Who's your favorite character so far? If you had to pick one.
I like Viserys.
Yeah.
And I mean, Viserys really stands out to me. Simply because of Patty, who plays him.
Patty the baddie.
Patty. But I mean, there's. That'd probably be my first.
Yeah.
I mean,
who he reminds me of?
Who's that?
His decisions too. Robb Stark. Because he's a good guy. Loves his family, of course. He's a good guy, and he knows the right thing to do is to marry a Valerian. That's what would, and he doesn't. He marries the girl that he wants to, that he loves, that he likes, like Rob did. And that's kind of like, all right, this is mirroring this. Something's going to happen to Viserys here because he chose wrong.
Yeah. So he wasn't following his duty properly.
Right. Even though he loves his family, puts it first. He's a nice guy. He wants to follow duty, but he always he's the guy who has to follow his heart, and that's going to be his downfall, I think.
Yeah. He has the tinge of trying to do what he thinks is right, as opposed to what everyone else.
Right. And when he gets angry, I have a clip here. When he gets angry, like Rob would get angry if he felt slighted. Somebody like wronged him. Like when Rob thought that his mom was a traitor for letting Jaime Lannister go. And he just doesn't trust her anymore. And with Viserys, Daemon doing his like orgy for his spoiler alert. So in episode 1, his wife he doesn't have any sons. He just has Rhaenyra at this point.
They've seen these episodes.
Right, okay.
They know it.
All right, well.
If you haven't seen House of the Dragon, watch the first 3 episodes. Just there's going to be spoilers.
Yeah. So, and
But yeah, when he's in the orgy and he makes a comment about his son, like, heir for a day.
And he gets pissed. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorite character is probably Daemon.
Okay.
I like him a lot. He's like a mixture between Jaime, great fighter, loves his family. He doesn't outwardly say it, but you can tell, and that's why Matt Smith's a great actor. You can tell he loves his family. He obviously likes Rhaenyra, and he loves his brother. He just feels like he's not appreciated. He's not appreciated enough, and kind of Tyrion a little bit. He's sarcastic.
Okay.
He's in a relationship with a whore, so it's like there's a lot of mirrored characters here from Game of Thrones. They're throwing like characteristics into these Targaryens.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's probably Daemon.
I like that. What's so we're 3 episodes in.
Yeah.
What is, I don't know. I guess what's the thing that's kind of stuck with you so far in these 3 episodes? As far, and I'll give mine to where.
Yeah, go ahead.
Something that I appreciated is, and that's Viserys is probably another one of the reasons why he's my favorite character, is I feel like the writers and the creators did a very good job as far as making you feel the burden that the king has.
Yes.
Not to where it's just, unchecked power and everything else, but it's more of he's always just pestered. Like, I feel bad for the guy because he's always just being prodded and poked, and you can see it from a mile away as far as how he's being manipulated, whether he knows it or not, all the time. Whether if it's about him having to remarry after his wife dies so soon, and then now he's married. Okay, well, now you got to pick an heir, or you have to pick an heir, and then he ends up having a son, and they're like, well, and then everyone's trying to maneuver and do all these things, like, so is your son going to be the next thing? And the guy's just trying to eat. And he's like, hey, the thing down the stone steps, you need to address that. And he's like, I just want.
Can I just enjoy?
Can I have 5 fucking seconds? Dear God. And
and you feel for him more because you like him. If it was like an asshole, you'd be like, yeah, keep bugging that guy. Keep bugging him. Yeah, make him go crazy. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they do a good job doing that. What stands out to me? I think that might be it. That might just the weight. Yeah, I think they're doing a good job. Like they didn't really dive into that in Game of Thrones. They didn't do that. They just dove into like who's going to ascend the throne and how we're going to get there. This is kind of the viewpoint of, okay, you're on the throne now. This is what it's going to be like to rule on it. And I think you're right.
Yeah, you actually feel the weight of the crown.
Yes.
But and I like that because it's giving you a different perspective. It's just giving you a different sense of that world, with different positions in the power to what they showed previously in the original show. And I think that's what that's another thing that I enjoy is that they're showing you something new. They're not just rehashing the same shit. And because, to be honest, I wasn't looking forward to the show.
Right.
At all. I was like, I've seen Game of Thrones. Like, it's just going to be more, who's going to be the thing? Who's going to get it? And I could care less because I just pictured it being the exact same thing. But if they keep going the route that they're going, I think it'll be a good show because especially if they can keep the politicking great and then showing you different portions of this world that you haven't been able to see and being able to expand on some of those ideas.
Does anyone not like peace? It's so weird. You know, they've been at peace for like almost 100 years at this point because his father reigned over like 7 years or whatever with no fighting. It's like everyone, it seems like they're destined to just
to fuck it up.
Fuck it up.
Because they're all meddling. Like if they just leave well enough alone, everyone would be better off. But like everyone's so concerned about their own lot in life, trying to creep ahead and trying to get their fingers in everything that
and
it just ruins it.
You're right. Like why would you want to be? Why would you want to rule? Look at Viserys. It's tearing the poor guy down.
Yeah, it's literally killing him. The chair he sits in is literally taking him piece by piece. Right. Which is something I liked in the first episode. I think they touched on it a little bit in the second episode. Because he had that lesion on his back that wasn't healing.
That's
and
right.
then he pricked his finger on one
now
of the swords.
He's like 3 fingers left.
And he's like, oh, we gotta... Did he have the...
He only had 3 fingers.
He only had... And I tried to look, but every time his hand popped up, I was engrossed in the story enough. I didn't pause it to see if he only had 3 fingers.
It's literally killing him.
Yeah. The throne is...
Yeah.
It's just... They take the message and they slap it across your face with the themes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no. I think that's... but no, I like that touch of it. I like little things like that to where it's not going to end well for him.
What do you think of Rhaenyra's motivation on why she... that maybe that's a little flaw in the show. I don't know why she wants to rule so bad. I'm trying to understand it. I don't know.
I don't necessarily get the sense that she wants to rule. I think because she made a comment in the first episode to where I don't want to be a mother.
Right.
Or I don't want to give birth or whatever. I want to hunt. I want to go. Like she
eat cake on a dragon and
like I want to ride my dragons and I want to like more of just do my own thing. I want to do something that is not what society pretty much tells her she needs to do or what her role in the family tells her she needs to do. I don't think it's necessarily I don't get the sense that she wants the throne. I think it's one of those things, now that it was a possibility, now it's like, I want that now kind of a thing to where if it gets taken away from me, then I'm being pushed back into that back role. So I think I don't feel like it's something that she, like that's her end goal. I think it's more of, I like that option because it would keep me from being a womb.
Okay.
Kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
To where I think she doesn't want to sit in a chair and make babies.
Gotcha.
Anything else outside of that, I think she would be good with.
Right. Kind of like Arya.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Do her own thing.
Yep.
At least if she's ruling, she can do her own thing.
Yeah. And I do see a little, like quite a bit of Arya in her. Like that same kind of mentality to where, we need to get you back to camp. No, I like it out here in the woods.
Yeah.
She doesn't, she just wants to do what she wants to do, and not what her role dictates what she needs to do.
Right.
So I think that's
which must be a nice conflict to have in this world. All the other peasants in King's Landing would switch roles with her any day of the week.
Yeah, and they even bring
that up. I just shit into my hand. I literally just shit into my hand, Yeah. I had to throw it out the window.
And they mention that in the third episode when she's walking in the woods with
Sir Kirsten Cole. Yeah.
And
by the way, did you love how she picked the most handsome knight?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's what a 15-year-old would pick. Exactly. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
But when they were walking in the woods, she even made mention of that to where, blah blah blah. Woe is me.
Yeah.
For what I have to do, and he's like, well, anyone would trade for your position. She's like, that's because they haven't had my position. I'm like, but you still got it pretty good, dude.
Yeah, pretty good.
It's I was like, it's. I mean, but that's her perspective, and it's not like that she's wrong in thinking that. It's just that's her only point of view that she's ever had. So,
yeah.
I mean, in a way, I guess it may be a form of slavery in her mind, to where, because literally it is, if you're being if you only have one avenue and you're forced to do that. Same thing with the king, to where he's pretty much a slave to duty and tradition, to where he can't name an heir of who he wants to name an heir to just because she's a woman, that he has to name an heir to a boy because, well, it's never been done before, so you can't break tradition.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But
do you think the writer, I think Ryan Coodle?
Cuddles.
Yes.
Ryan J. Cuddles.
Condell. Shit. Yeah. Does he just, is he afraid of children and childbirth? Or is J.R.R. Martin just afraid of it? They really in this show, they really drive home that, hey, having kids is not a pleasant experience.
When I saw the C-section at the end of what was the second episode?
First episode.
First episode.
Yeah. Elbow deep in the stomach. Jesus.
They made the incision. I was like, that's the wrong way for a proper cesarean section. But yeah, I did like that aspect of it too, to where, and I liked that scene when the queen realized that she was going to be killed, so that way the baby could be born, and it was all for naught. The baby didn't even survive longer than a couple hours, and I think that's just part of I don't know. I think that's just the tragedy that George R.R. Martin loves. I'm assuming. I don't know. You've read this book, right?
Yeah, he's a nihilist, right? No, I didn't read Fire and Blood.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
okay.
didn't read that book.
But you're aware of the succession and everything else.
I'm aware of all that stuff. Yes.
Gaia. But I don't know. I mean, I know he enjoys killing characters.
Yeah.
So,
well, what choice did Viserys have in that? Even the guy was like, "Well, you could save one of them, or they're both gonna die anyway."
Yeah. And but that scene with those two acting together, and he's telling her that he loves her, and when when they remove the pillows and the realization that she's not going to survive, and she's like, "No, stop! I'm scared," and everything. It's one of the things that Game of Thrones does very well, as far as just inserts brutal realism in a lot of those situations that could be sugar-coated in other shows.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to play a clip of, God, I mean, just the acting and the dialogue is awesome, and I think this scene in particular is great.
I don't know what you mean.
You will address me as your grace, or I will have my Kingsguard cut out your tongue. The heir for a day. Did you say it?
We must all mourn in our own way, your grace.
My family has just been destroyed. But instead of being by my side or Rhaenyra's, you chose to celebrate your own rise! Laughing with your whores and your leg spittles! You have no allies at court but me! I have only ever defended you! Yet everything I've given you, you've thrown back in my face!
You've only ever tried to send me away to the Vale, to the City Watch, anywhere but by your side. 10 years you've been king, and yet not once have you asked me to be your hand.
Why would I do that?
Because I'm your brother. And the blood of the dragon runs thick.
Then why do you cut me so deep?
I've only ever spoken the truth. I see Otto Hightower for what he is.
An unwavering and loyal hand.
A cunt.
Awesome.
Damien wasn't wrong either. So far, he's not wrong.
He's not.
His hand has been the most meddling.
Yeah, for sure. He has.
In regards to everybody in his council. I forget the character's name, but there's one guy he asks the opinion of. It's like the pudgy guy.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like, I don't know what he does, but he's just like,
He's like the voice of reason, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should probably marry Lady Valerian.
I'm going to tell you what you should have done 2 years ago. I still stand by that because it'd be funny. I want him to stay in the show. Like, just have him as a weird advisor to where he's always right, but no one listens to him. He's like, I don't know.
I don't
just,
tell you.
10 years later, he's just like, I fucking told you so.
I know. I called this 10 years ago. I told the fucking guy. He just wouldn't listen to me. But, I mean, it's just, the acting's amazing. The dialogue's great. I love it. Mm-hmm. He's a cunt. It's just like, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it goes from that proper English speak to cunt.
Yeah, I like that scene too because that's the first scene where you see Viserys actually, offended and mad, and Daemon realizes, okay, I crossed the line here, and he knows it too. It's good. It's great.
Yeah.
What do you think of Lord Corlys, the sea snake?
He's
Viserys' cousin, the queen that never was his husband.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's like 15 million blonde people in this show. My first impression of him, I thought he was going to be another voice of reason or something more of a military strategist, but like, hey, we better pay attention to this kind of a thing, like with the best interest of the king. I think I kind of like. I mean,
I like him.
I don't have a issue with him. Because I don't think he's done anything. Everything he's done, he's had a perfectly legitimate reason to, because he's concerned for his fleet. He's from a wealthy family. Obviously, he wants to protect what he has. If that gets depleted by not oligarchy, but the triarchy of people that are attacking him, obviously he wants some support to be able to defend that off. And then obviously it makes sense him going with Damien to fight that presence to be able to protect what he has. And,
I mean, he's a great. I don't know who the guy is. He's a great actor. Mm-hmm. He's really good. The one thing that doesn't make sense that I nitpick about, I don't know why you would cast or at least for this family a black actor for it, because the House Targaryen and the Lannisters even speak about it. It's in the books a lot. They're like Aryan.
Is he
crazy.
A Targaryen?
He's a Valerian.
Yeah, so he's a Valerian.
Right, but the thing with they're very like the Targaryens are very Aryan. Like we want the purest of blood.
Yeah,
purest of blood.
But the Valerians are a different family, right?
They are.
Yeah. So I mean, but
they don't. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Because they don't look like each other.
It's
very obvious.
Okay, so instead of banging the sisters or whatever, then they're good. I get that. Because you have the English. Sorry, our UK listeners. You have the English royal family. Mm-hmm. They've been banging each other for
forever. Yeah.
And same thing with when you breed dogs.
Yeah.
Like purebred or whatever. But I get what you're saying. But they also marry for stature to be able to.
Yes.
Because he was even. So maybe that was the reason to marry outside, obviously, is to better their own position. And I think that's obviously, maybe that's like their first choice. Like, let's stay within the bloodline if we can, or if not, then it needs to be something that'll be able to lift us up.
Yeah.
So that I feel like is not too much of a stretch. I get what you're saying, though.
I mean, I got over it.
Yeah, lore-wise, I think it's the blonde hair. As long as you have blonde hair.
And that's another thing.
Hey.
It looks stupid.
I want a scene when they're dyeing it to where they think it's natural and like his roots start to show, and then he's in there bleaching it with some Hot Topic hair bleach. But no, I get it. But I like how, because they showed other Valerians and they had the same look,
and that made sense.
Yeah, and I was like, that's cool.
Well, they had to do that.
Yeah,
it made sense, but again, it stood out to me. I was like, wait a second, lore wise, these people are very, very into like pure blood. Like they're semi like, I don't know, Nazi, Aryan kind of, especially in the books.
I think back then though they're still aware of like the dangers of too much incest.
I don't know.
To where, I mean, you need to mix up the pot a little bit to, so that way you don't get a couple duds. But because I mean, even Viserys' wife was from the Vale.
Viserys' wife's from the Vale. You mean Daemon's wife?
No, Patty Constantine. He made mention in episode 3.
Oh, his first wife.
His first wife is from the Vale.
I must have missed it.
And so I mean but what gets me a little bit along the same lines, his second wife, dark hair.
Allison, yeah.
More of the genetics. Their son, blonde.
Yeah.
Like
well, it's a recessive gene.
Towhead. Blonde is a recessive gene. Dark hair, I think, is a dominant gene.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that
it's
actually,
reversed. It's reversed in Westeros.
It's reversed.
Yeah.
Well, it's fucking dragons. People can have blonde hair.
Anyway, it's a nitpick. I already got over it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's a great actor, and I mean, I like his character.
And well, it
just jumped out to me when I first saw the episode. I was like, wait a second, this doesn't, because I've read the books. I know how they think.
Yeah.
It doesn't track with chart.
And what I kind of chuckle at is whenever these shows come out with new photos, you have everybody just immediately hating something based on whatever the hell. Like, so, for example, you had Jumanji. And you had
Robin Williams
Karen,
Jumanji?
Yeah. Welcome to the Jungle.
I think everyone liked Robin Williams Jumanji.
Yeah. It's iconic. But Karen Gilliam?
Yeah, Karen Gilliam.
When I remember a publicity photo came out, and it was in the throes of, it was like right around when Me Too was starting to like kind of pop up. But there was a publicity photo, and they were all like in the jungle. And then her costume was like short shorts and like a tank top, and everyone started getting their panties in a wad because, her outfit's a lot more skimpy than ever. Why would anybody wear that in the jungle? And it's ridiculous, and it's just male chauvinism pushing their agenda and mainstream, and she should be having cargo pants, and she should be dressed for the jungle like all the other guys. And then Karen Gilliam came out and was like, you should probably watch the movie first. There's a reason. And there was a perfectly legitimate reason. It was a 90s video game.
Right.
That was the character she was playing.
Yeah.
They did the same thing for House of Dragon. And they did it for the Rings of Power. So you had... but with House of Dragon, I think there was who's the sea snake?
Lord Corlys.
Yeah. They had an image of him, blonde hair. People automatically assumed fucking Targaryen, and he's black.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
everyone was up in arms, and he's not even a Targaryen.
Yeah.
And I like instances like that happen, that people just fly the shit off the handle, and it's probably really no one. I've never met anybody that is similar to the people that these articles make news stories about. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I've never met anyone that was upset that, there's a black Targaryen or whatever. And like, I mean, I'm not as nerdy as I used to be or something. I don't know anyone who's really gotten upset about that. So maybe I don't think a lot of people are, but I just see news.
Yeah. There's definitely
news articles of people getting up in arms.
There's definitely an ecosystem. Ever since we started this podcast, I look at other YouTube videos, review channels and all that stuff, see what they're doing and how they go about their process. There's a whole ecosystem of like rage when it comes to like diversity, and the other side where diversity is all that matters. And I'm like, can someone just review the story?
Yeah.
And if it's good or not, I could give a shit who you cast, as long as the story's good and the show itself is good, the production, and music, direction. Like if it's good, I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
And I don't know. I guess I'm too cynical.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think any of those people exist.
You don't think so?
They're either all bots.
Yeah.
Or
no, they exist. They do.
But
do they believe it?
No. I think they're trolling fucking people.
I think you're right.
I think most of it is that where they probably don't even. They're just like,
yeah,
I'm gonna get someone all fucking pissed off. I used to do that when I was not like I didn't comment on the internet, but I would. This was mainly in person. I'd just kind of goad people. Like I'd push their buttons as a form of entertainment because if I knew it would be easier.
And I think a lot of it is waned because of the House of Dragon because it's good.
Yeah.
So and now there's not like
people's got to shut
like,
up.
Okay, this is pretty good.
So once something comes out and people are still piling onto it, then you're
then
you're
like, all right, you're probably full of shit.
Yeah,
a little full of shit here.
So
yeah,
but yeah, I like it. I think it's I
think it's good.
I think it's a strong start. Production values there.
Oh yeah.
Some of the dragons, I mean that's just tough on a TV budget.
Yeah.
But I like what is it? Blackstone. Dragonstone. They had that set. I thought it was kind of nice. They brought back some sets that you saw from the previous show.
Yeah.
The Game of Thrones, they had a little bit more swords kind of coming down on the stairs or whatever. They altered it a little bit to where it wasn't so run down. But I mean, I think they did a great job with the set design. The music is spot on. Mm-hmm. I'm glad they kept the theme because the music is major. And I think these kinds of stories.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll touch more on that.
Oh, we'll get into that on the next
episode.
One. Oh, for sure. I'm right there with you.
But
God.
But no, I think it's a great start. I like all the characters. I might not like them as people, but I think all the characters are well done. You can understand their motivations and what they're... You can understand you understand what they're about and what their goals are.
Yeah.
Without explicitly saying.
One question I wanted to ask you before.
Sure.
Yeah. Has there been a decent man that has survived in Game of Thrones besides Jon Snow?
Tyrion.
Oh yeah, Tyrion. That's right. He was a decent guy.
Yeah. The redhead wildling. Did he survive?
Nah.
The one that was into...
I know what you're talking about.
Bran of Tarth.
I don't even remember. I think he did. So I'm just stupid.
So who else should I pick out? Do you want me to... Here, let me bring up Game of Thrones really quick. I'll just start reading off the cast list.
Well, I guess everyone fucking died at the end of it. Now that I think about it. Why did I think of this? Because I like Viserys so much, and he's obviously gonna... Someone's gonna fuck him over.
I think he's just gonna die.
And everyone else isn't that decent. I mean, they all have their own little...
I don't know if he's gonna... I think he'll probably just whittle away. He'll get a sickness, and he'll die.
Do you think someone will give him the sickness? No, it'll be natural.
Yeah, I think. Well, it'll just be him with all of his stress and shit.
Okay, so let's talk about how you think this first season's gonna end.
Oh hell, I don't know.
Yeah,
I could make a prediction, but
you'll be wrong.
No, I mean, I feel like the writers of this show probably take it in the direction that I can't even think of.
Yeah,
like the. But my prediction is, by the end of the season, I don't know. I think the king will be dead by the end of the season.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
Obviously there will be a power vacuum, and there will be Rhaenyra Targaryen. What's her name?
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. Her, Damien, and maybe little Aegon.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Agar. Wow, you're really...
Sammy Hagar.
really
Sammy Hagar.
Game of Thrones
Doctor
scholar.
Who. And Rhaenyra.
Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think he's gonna...
I think the season is probably going to set up a power vacuum.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of kick off everything.
Yeah.
Or get the pieces in place to where you can kind of see it as like this is what the story is going to be about.
And I don't know how many seasons they're going to do. You can't do that many with just based off one book. So I hope it doesn't go down the path of
just
ran out of book.
Shit out.
We ran out of book. So, but we're still on contract for 2 more seasons, and then it's just another letdown.
It'll be interesting. I imagine they would want to go at least 5 seasons.
Oh yeah, I think so. Daenerys is going to fly in on a dragon
at the end.
At the end,
comes through a portal. Surprise, motherfucker!
Yeah, it's the multiverse, bitch. Marvel's doing it, so is HBO. Please don't do that, HBO.
It's not up to HBO anymore. It's up to Discovery.
Oh, that's true. Everyone's getting bought out.
Yep. Any more on House of Dragon?
No.
All right.
I recommend it. Go ahead and watch it.
I recommend
it's
it
good TV.
too.
It's good TV.
Yeah, I'll watch it every week.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna review the latest episode.
We can do that.
Yeah.
So, we'll probably wait for I don't know,
a couple of them.
Yeah, we'll wait for like 2 episodes, and
sure.
then we'll talk about it again.
Sure. I'll watch it too. That way, not like Obi-Wan where you just watched it and you told me all the good things about it.
Well, I wouldn't want you to watch Obi-Wan just to.
I haven't
Because every episode would be like, fuck you. Fuck you.
You gave it.
Did you like Obi-Wan? No, fuck you.
You gave it such a glowing recommendation. I wanted to jump right on and watch it.
If the color brown, or actually, no, at least brown is interesting sometimes, but I guess
brown
taupe. If the color taupe had a TV show, it'd be that.
It'd be that show.
It'd be that show.
Obi-Wan Topi.
Topi One Kenobi. Obi-Wan Tenope. Fuck it.
Sammy Hagar.
Sammy Hagar. All right. Well, join us next time as we discuss the first 2 episodes and our first impressions of The Rings of Power to continue our medieval series, which consists of 2 shows.
2 shows.
This one and the next one.
Yep.
So, next time we'll talk about The Rings of Power, first 2 episodes that came out 4 days ago.
Yeah.
So that episode will actually probably air a day or 2 after you hear this one. So go check that one out. And as always, don't forget to comment on our episodes. Talk, Jason. Jesus. Comment on our episodes at acastwithnoname.com or shoot us an email, which is contact.acastwithnoname@gmail.com. Email can also be found on our website and in the description of the podcast you're currently listening to. Click on that little down arrow. It'll expand. You'll see a little quippy 2-3 sentence summary of this episode, and you'll see our
I think they understand technology, Jay.
So when you're holding, you have a phone.
Tell me more about this.
Is in the hand. It's like a computer, and you
listen. Jay will upload a YouTube video on our channel that's gotten 13 views to teach you how to access.
Well, if YouTube would see people, we have podcasts that go way too long, and until we get 1,000 views or something, we can't upload anything longer than 15 minutes. And that's just a pain in the ass.
Yes, it
so
is.
At this rate, we'll have 1,000 views in about 15 years, and then we can upload everything on YouTube.
That's right.
But if you want to do us a favor, just go to our YouTube channel, Cast with No Name, on YouTube, and just start viewing it.
Yeah, just start viewing.
Just click it. Have it in the background, like when you go to bed. I made playlists. Just click a playlist. Just let it run through on repeat.
You can listen to our first episode about the Batman.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you haven't heard enough about the Batman.
Yeah, and just put it on repeat. Connect it to Wi-Fi, though, so you're not sucking up all your data. Of course, everyone has unlimited data.
Yeah, everyone does.
I'm a cheap ass. I have 5 gigs.
Is it past 8? Can I text now?
I'm on a prepaid plan. Not kidding, because it's $25 a month. Love it. Sponsored by Verizon.
Yes.
All right. Anything else?
That Verizon money. No.
Getting that Verizon. The tens of pennies.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, join us next time.
Yep. Till next time.